Well, it's a double win for me because I have the Fighting Illini's own Andrea Darlis here.
Illini. Yes.
Yeah, right?
You're on board. Yes.
And the head coach, Bret Bielema, joins us now. We, of course, are the flagship for Illini football. I'll tell you about the Maryland game coming up in a second. Morning, Coach.
Morning, Steve. How are you?
Nice to talk to you. Have you met Andrea on campus? Have you bumped into her anywhere?
I was fortunate enough to be with Andrea this past
summer.
Spring, May.
Yeah.
Got a chance to do a little tour through the city.
Yeah, she's great.
Everything from some good interviews to a car that was on fire.
Oh, my God, I know.
Andrea.
I tell you, we had a great time, and being with Coach B is awesome. Everywhere we went, someone was waiting with an Illini football. There's some merchandise to sign. You are truly a hero of Chicago.
Yeah, and to have the Illini hat you left for me because I wasn't in that day, it fits even my big melon, Coach. So
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So listen, this is not rolled out the way you wanted it to. This is a young team that needs to grow into itself in a lot of ways. But this year is far from over. So a real statement win would be to play hard and get one in Maryland. What do you have to do?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for us is, 2-4 is not where we want to be. But I would tell you this, I think we got a group of guys that have, every week has battled a 4-quarter game. Obviously some of these haven't turned out the way we wanted, but new players and young players are making some growth. Our better players are playing a little more focused, a little more detail. I think, as a head coach, you always say this, a lot of times you lose talent, right? Seniors graduate, but tradition never does. But sometimes it's those voices that are the hardest thing to replace, moments of adversity, leadership, direction. And this team is, at times shown that it can play and do as well as anybody. And at times has really struggled to execute in moments of critical importance. So this week is all about the task at hand, trying to get ourselves ready for a Maryland team, 5-1 football team that went toe-to-toe for Ohio State. But I'm excited to get out there and see the way our guys play.
I think the positives, too, good running backs, a solid defense. What do you say, Coach, to the guys in the locker room after, say, a loss? Is it like, hey, you know what? Let's look forward. We got Maryland coming up on Saturday. Just move forward, correct?
Well, it kind of evolves. Saturday, in this case, Friday night after the game, obviously you got a lot of people that hurt. The one thing that I have been impressed with or more than ever have a better understanding of our football team. There's a lot of guys that are upset. It hurts for a long time. We couldn't touch them on Saturday by NCAA rules, but Sunday when they came over to go through that film, but we have to take those things as a learning opportunity. We stress to our players all the time. One thing obviously happens from a loss, you get an L, but you can't let that loss carry forward, right? You got to learn from your mistakes and move forward. And our guys have done that. I thought that today, especially, we started off early morning meetings. Our guys are usually in the building about 6:30 in the morning. We have our first meeting at 7. Today is a Tuesday practice, so it's a heavy workload on early down and really some situational football. We have a number of guys that we should get back this week that we missed. We had as many as 4 starters last week that were out. So to get some of those guys back will really help us this week moving forward. And then some of our younger players are a little bit healthier than they've been. So I'm excited for today's practice and see where it goes.
I felt like when we talked this summer that you knew what you were getting into this fall. And you never used words like rebuilding, and you didn't complain, and I respect that. But I also felt like you needed a little luck. I haven't seen any luck for the Illini yet. Aren't you overdue on that?
I do think you got to create your own luck, but there are some breaks you hope to have. There's a play just in every game that kind of just stands out. Like, why does that happen? Like, how's that have to happen? There was a play where we made a third down deflected pass, and it fell just short of a guy's hands. Every game there seems to be something early in the game that you just want the ball to bounces in mysterious ways. It's an odd-shaped ball, so it bounces the wrong way that you would like sometimes. Again, there was another issue on Saturday. We had a nice 20-yard gain early in the first or in the third quarter that would have gave us a first down cross midfield. We got a phantom holding call that, it didn't exist. And unfortunately it wipes off the book, and we got to bigger and overcome those moments. So I tell our guys, hey, obviously we're getting challenged. We're getting challenges both on and off the field that we got to overcome. And once those moments happen, the moments can be really good. And I think our guys will persevere, and weather the storm and continue to believe.
Coach, now you have a new angel up there watching over you. You guys did a beautiful tribute to Dick Butkus last Friday night, and you released a wonderful statement upon hearing about his passing, where you talked about Dick embodying everything that Illinois football has represented. And that's kind of the mantra, I think, going forward.
Andre, that, I grew up in the state of Illinois. I was a, defensive coordinator, been around the defense side of the ball my whole life, played linebacker. And just in this era that I grew up in, Dick Butkus, what he stood for, both in college and the NFL. But then for me, especially to get to know him as a head coach at the University of Illinois, to meet him last year and shake his hand. There's been very few times in my life where I felt just in awe of someone that I was standing in front of, and that was one for sure. Just who he is, what he embodied, what he represented. He definitely loved the University of Illinois, as well as obviously the Chicago Bears and the game of football, but he stood for a lot of really good things. So a tremendous loss, but a tremendous honor that we had a chance to know him and be around him, and hopefully can represent him in the future going forward.
When you and I'm a little older than you, but when we grew up, you always picked a guy. Who was your guy? I mean, you were a big kid. I was a big kid. Were you Dick Butkus when you'd play with your friends?
I was definitely not a skill player. The thing that was fun for me, he had actually been done playing by the time I even, really started to remember or watch college football. But seeing those NFL films and
it's ridiculous how good he was.
That you see throughout the course of time about not only the way he played, but some of his interviews. And then there was a great comment when he was enshrined here when they had the statue, and he said, "Shit, I love knocking the shit out of people." Like, I mean,
right.
A linebacker than that. It's just he's a blue collar spokesman, a representative, a very dedicated person to his family as well, and to believe in the topics, like to have the National Linebacker Award and have different things named after him. It shows what kind of a person.
Well,
he is
one word.
overall.
You say Butkus, you know what you're talking about. I mean, if you're that famous. Or one word, everybody knows what you're talking about. I don't know if you know this, Coach, but he took over Twitter for a bit and became a great Twitter follower. Mm-hmm. But he was on the U of I account. He went through the locker room and stuff. And I think he found you. And but there was a couple of great tweets that came out last week when we were talking about him. One of which was somebody sent him a response and said, "You nearly killed my grandfather when he played you." And Butkus' response was, "Yeah, he probably deserved it."
Yeah. What did he do to deserve it? Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Or, Coach, when they dedicated the statue to him right outside Memorial Stadium, it was a blustery day, and someone had turned to him and said, "Oh, sorry about, not that you can control the weather. Sorry about the weather." And he's like, "What's wrong with the weather?"
Football weather.
Yeah.
The night that he and Gail Sayers had their numbers retired is the worst weather ever at Soldier Field. I was there, and the entire place left after halftime, including some of the players. We just wanted to stay around and see Dick and Gail Sayers get theirs. Coach, before you go, Halloween's coming up. What are the girls going to be?
I heard the rumor of mermaids, but I can't officially deny or confirm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Believe me, my wife knows me well enough. I am the last person who's being inventoried on what decision is going to be made. I just know that during the summer, when I had a little bit of time with my girls, I think we probably set a world record for minutes that we were awake and apparently able to watch The Little Mermaid, and the number that we actually did was overwhelmingly in favor of the mermaid. So
awesome.
I guess that's a strong bet.
All right, so when they bring the candy home, you do what all dads do. You go through it to make sure it's safe, right?
I know I don't look it, but I'm not a big candy guy. So
really? Well, then let me know what they're not eating, and I'll come pick it up.
I think the thing that's really enjoyable for me is just to watch not only them, but the interaction with our kids. Not as coaches, we spend a lot of time together. So coaches' families spend a lot of time, and we got a pack of about 7 to 8 girls. Myself, my chief of staff, one of my coaches. All of us have 2 to 3 girls.
Wow.
There's a swarm of them running down from 3-year-olds to 7-year-olds. I know that's going to eventually evolve over time, but they are a crew to be reckoned with, I promise you.
No doubt about it.
It's the best.
Rule the roost.
The best.
Coach, go get them. Let's get one against Maryland.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. IOL.
Aye.
There you go.
See you, Coach. Say hey to Jen.
Coach Bret Bielema.
Oh, he's the best.
University of Illinois.
The best.
And he knows he's going to get a tough sledding here, but he's going to be just fine. And this team's going to be fine. They're going to grow from this.
That's what a good captain does.
And
I have no doubts.
I didn't want to get into it too much, Nick, but Bret, when he sends the girls out to trick-or-treating, he goes, "Listen to me. you hit that doorbell and you hit it hard. When they open a door, you give them a trick or treat. You let them know who's there.
And when they say no, Dad, he goes, okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
the girls run him.